Known as LindoPep, and this is the TTV show. But this part of the show is called Inside of the Mind of a Football Technocrat with the one and only Coach Picasso. But today we've got a very interesting conversation that we want to have. We are talking with the Botola Pro. In that Botola Pro, there's one team with the South African contingents, if that's the right word. But we are talking Coach Rhulani and his Wydad Casablanca and everything, it's actually everything Wydad Casablanca. Other than that, welcome to the show, Coach Picasso.
I'm not
We are talking a very interesting team, more especially in the Botola Pro with a very interesting coach. We'll get into the details as the episode continues. But they've played 20 games so far with 10 wins, 6 draws, 4 losses. But what surprises me the most are the amount of goals that they conceded, which is 29. It's unlike a Coach Rhulani team, which to concede like 29 goals. But maybe we can speak about the profile of the league first before we even get into the profile of the team.
Yeah, I think the league is an interesting league. We see it in the Champions League, especially if you want to watch North African teams, super transitional. It's full of crosses. It's aggressive. It's demanding in terms of intensity. It's a league that is very interesting, and I think Coach Rhulani got there, and his task was basically to wake up a sleeping giant, and he's been whispering bit by bit, and it seems to be waking up. So it's an interesting journey for him and his technical team, and one that I'm keeping a very close eye on because I barely missed any of their games.
Yeah.
So this is going to be an interesting chat.
Yeah, but maybe let's talk about the profile of the team that they're trying to build, obviously with the technical team. Or rather, let's start with the technical team. Of course, he's the head coach. Coach Rhulani brings in a very experienced head in Alan Fries as the technical director, with the Autier to Patelovic, Coach Snetemba Patela as the assistant coach, including the goalkeeper coach. Maybe we can start from there, the technical team.
I think it's first of all, I have to give a huge shout out to the Wydad president for believing in Coach Rhulani as a young coach. I think this year he's 38.
Yeah.
There are coaches that have coached their entire lives. They've never been in his position. They've never had as much success as he's had. So much dominance. And then he also, when they say what's being done to you, do it to others. So he believed in a younger coach, Coach Themba, which is great. They know each other very well. They know each other's demands. They know each other's way of working in terms of they know what to expect from one another, the demands. So I think that was a great touch from him. He's got also a young goalkeeper coach, I think Coach Sean.
Yeah.
He's got a young physical trainer, Osbuda. I think one of the
Osbuda as well.
Yeah. So it's a whole South African cabal that is that side, and it's doing wonders.
I like the word cabal. Actually, that's the word man needs to continue. I was supposed to say it's the South African cabal. But anyway, let's talk key players. Of course, I know there's some interesting players. Apologies for the pronunciation. We're obviously not Arabic, but I know that there's key players that you obviously want to talk about.
There's very interesting players in that Wydad 11 or squad rather. Very good players. I think Coach Rhulani is building the team strength by strength. He's got Mubarak. Mubarak is outstanding. He's got a familiar face, AB Botola. He's got Ohakas. He's got Muteraji. He's got Cassius Mailula, who's South African. He's got Rahi, the number 8, who's outstanding. Very aggressive, very vertical, dynamic, takes on players. He's got a mentality of a monster. So he's got a decent team, and he's building step by step, brick by brick, dollar by dollar.
Yeah.
He's getting there.
Yeah. But they brought in a lot of players. We have to speak about the transfer windows. How many transfer windows do they need to get this team right? And in terms of the players that they brought in, we saw in the beginning of the season, very important to speak about. They started building the team with a couple of players they brought in. I think about 9 players. This transfer window, again, they made a couple of signings to boost up the team. But yes, people are speaking about the goalkeeper, who apparently he's been exceptional. I haven't been watching a couple of games because of years of other commitments. But the games that I've seen, you're looking at them from the build-up perspective to how they control the game, how passing pattern to how attacking organization to even attacking transitions well. From that perspective, what have you seen?
I think in terms of the windows, they will need a couple of windows because Wydad was not the Wydad that we know, that we've known over the years when Coach Rhulani got there. He has tried to resuscitate them and he has tried to breathe life into the team.
Yep.
And he is breathing life. He's probably gonna need maybe three or four more windows in terms of the long term. But in terms of the short term, I think he has done very well. He has acquired the services of Thembinkosi Lorch. They lost Puno Ama, I think, who was a very dynamic winger, who was a very important part of that team. So they lost him in this window, and then they brought in Lorch to replace him. They brought an experienced goalkeeper. I think he represented Morocco as well at some stage. They've got a 21-year-old goalkeeper. Coach Rhulani gave a chance to a young player, I think was 17, I think sometime in December. So even the average squad, you're probably looking at 26, 25, 27, somewhere around there. I think they are the fourth youngest team in the Botola Pro League. Mm-hmm. So that's very good. It shows that he's not just building for now. Yeah. He wants to leave the team in a better place, whether technically, the entire institution as a whole. He wants to leave it in a better place. He doesn't want to get there and then leave it in a worse place. So it's good to see the type of football that they are playing. It's interesting. With Coach Rhulani, there's certain principles you will see. Yeah. The ball will be on the ground. You will see triangulation. Yeah. You will see verticality. You will see creativity. You will see dominance. You will see set pieces. They've improved as time has went on. I don't think they were as good when Coach Rhulani arrived, but now they've been very solid. You will see certain patterns that describe him as a coach, So that's very good and interesting to see.
Yeah, but I need us to move to a board because we know the profile of the Botola League. The profile is very physical with a lot of speed, technically very good players. But we know that they are not teams. They are not teams that like to play the ball into midfield. With what Coach Rhulani has brought into the team, what have you seen from a tactical perspective? Maybe from their build-up schemes, because we are speaking about the goalkeeper. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but you're talking about the goalkeeper, and when you assess him, he seems like an extra player. It reminds me of Ronan Williams a little bit. You're looking at the defensive midfielder that you like very much. Who's an exceptional defensive midfielder, helps them build up processes as well as more progressive lines. Obviously, to find players like Cassius and so forth. But what have you seen that makes Cassius come to life? What makes the forward players, like the front three, come to life from a build-up perspective and from a progressive line?
I think firstly we have to have a point of reference in terms of when Coach Rhulani was at Sundowns. He used to have a 3 at the back normally, depending on the structure of the opposition. If it's a one striker, he'll have a 2. He's brave enough to put in numbers up there. He narrowed the pitch. He didn't use width, didn't believe in width because I think of the profile. And this shows how versatile Coach Rhulani is. At Wydad right now, he has a different set of profile than he did at Sundowns. At Sundowns, he had less speed. Hence why he had less wing play. But he had a lot of ball players. At Wydad, he has players that can run in behind and break the line. He has players that can find the dodge pass. He has players that can dribble, take on people. You will see him with the overloads and isolations. So he's adjusting to that. I think top coaches are able to adjust to the squads that they have. Because you can't be so stagnant and narrow-minded in your approach, but the principles never change. So you would see a lot of this shape. Obviously, when it's as narrow as this, even the opposition will become narrow, and this is what we saw at Sundowns.
Yeah.
But now,
because he believed that this is a 2v1 situation
with the line being
an opponent, for sure.
Of course. So, but now I think he has gone to ways to say, okay, I've got wingers that are aggressive. that can attack the last line, So you see him, even in the past game, they scored with a cross, you see him using a bit of width, you see Cassius moving in and around the striker. You see Mubarak controlling the game, Botola steady at the back, solid, gives them defensive integrity and stability. So you see such things, and then you when at the beginning of the season, it was not there, because he was still studying the players, trying to see what he can do, how best can he make the situation out of what he has, So he has tried to adjust, but he does not leave his principles. That is clear. Even in the past game, ball possession was there. I mean, he made a lot of changes in the past game. Last 15 minutes, they probably lost a lot of possession because he brought in new players to give them a feel. They were leading 2-0. So they lost a lot of possession carelessly. But it was very stable. And the first half, I think they were outstanding. They could have been about 3 or 4 goals up. So those are the things that you see.
Do you think one of the reasons why he brought in Thembinkosi Lorch is to use him in the red zone in these areas for dribbles, for running behind, for causing another threat with the creativity that he has? Where do you feel from a tactical perspective he will use Lorch? Do you think he might use him in the wider areas? Do you think he might use him here centrally?
I think Lorch has a lot of weapons in him. First of all, he's a thinker. He's very creative. He's talented. That you can't take away from him. He understands game state. He knows when to break the line. He knows when to come short. He knows when to hold on to the ball when the team needs a bit of rest. He's press resistant. He knows how to drive with the ball. So in these areas, he will be very important. We all know how dangerous he is when he cuts in or when he manages to find himself in the half space, opens his body up, and then goes direct to the last line of defense. So I think he will use him in these areas because the further away Lorch is from goal, he's less effective. But when he's in these areas of in the half spaces, because that's where he delivers, that's where he takes shots, makes assists. He's very lethal in those positions.
Maybe let's talk about what is possible. What is acceptable from a league finish in the Botola Pro? We've seen it's the first season. We've spoken about them needing certain markets. Obviously, they are facing the Club World Cup going into June. I think that's what they're preparing for, the signings that they are making. I think they will get another window. But from a league perspective, what is acceptable from this technical team and these players?
I think when Coach Rhulani arrived, they lost. I think their first game they lost 1-0 against Masfes, who's leading the log right now. In the second game, they won 1-0, so that was good. And then their biggest defeat was obviously against Masfes 4-1, and they got a red card in that game. I remember, I think it was 10 or 11 minutes into the game. But as they've in the past 4 games, they've won all 4, so they're on a good run. Before the break. And they had a bit of a break right now. They had won 3 games in a row. So they are building momentum. They've brought in some firepower. So now Coach Rhulani has a lot of weapons in his arsenal to use, to play around with, to test in preparation for the Club World Cup as well, besides the league finish. But I think he will definitely, we'll see Wydad in the Champions League next season for sure. Because I mean, even number 2 and 3, I think they're leading him with 1 point. I think they are sitting on
37. So number 1 is with 49 points, which is ERSB Bekene.
Or Bekene. So
I
don't see Bekene losing a lot of games, but so that will make it difficult.
Yeah, they actually still was 5 now, by the way.
I mean, it says a lot. The standard you can already tell. So Coach Rhulani has a huge chance of ending in the top 2. And then I think in the top 2, that gives you Champions League qualification. I'm not so sure. But I think he has a chance of going to the Champions League next season and going to the World Cup to compete. As I said, he will need a couple of windows, but he's not going to the World Cup to add numbers. I think this team will be at a better place by the time June hits.
You know what? I really genuinely want to speak about the Club World Cup, but I think we should have a part 2. I don't know what you think. I think we need to genuinely come back to speak about everything Wydad Casablanca and everything Botola Pro. because in my opinion, we need to scrutinize the coaches and give support to the coaches that are going to the FIFA Club World Cup, even though maybe it's not South African teams. We're talking about maybe another one who's not in the Club World Cup but is doing an exceptional work in terms of who Fatu Davis with December. I think we might do an episode there if he genuinely does compete for the league or does something in that space. But credit to Coach Rhulani with the work that he's done with Wydad Casablanca. Wish him all the best in his technical team with what he's building, of course, preparing for the league, which is Botola Pro as well as the Club World Cup. But other than that, my name is LindoPep, known as LindoPep, and I'm joined by Coach Picasso of it. This part of the segment is called Inside of the Mind. But speaking on the language, please don't forget to subscribe, like, every time Mark Valley video with TV show. Other than that, support. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much for 1,000 subscribers. You guys make the show. Like I said, Picasso, thank you for it.